gather some materials. We will need 2 colors of embroidery floss. I chose a gradient blue and a gradient pink. We're also going to need a pair of scissors and some tape to hold our project down. So let's take our 2 colors. We are going to need them to be about a little longer than 3 feet each. I usually measure from my fingertip to the opposite shoulder. It's just over 3 feet. We need 2 strands of each color. Normally I would leave them like this for most bracelets, but for this quick one we are going to cut them in half. So let's put the ends together, stretch it out, find the middle by marking it with our thumb, and that is where we are going to cut. Alright, so let's line these 2 up nice and even, stretch them out, and we are going to tie a knot in this side. Later we will be untying this knot, so I recommend not tying it too tightly, but for the purposes of this video, throw yourself a little knot there. Okay, let's tape this sucker down. Okay, so first we will need to choose our starting color. So pick what you want. I chose blue. Untangle them a little bit so you can get a nice even starting point. There we go. Now this is a basic knot. I'm showing it as a 4 shape. It's the easiest way to explain it. You just go over the top, loop it under, and pull it tight. For the purpose of this bracelet, it really doesn't matter which direction that 4 is facing in. It goes over the top. For now, I do it on the left. The rest of the video, I do it on the right. Now we're just going to start wrapping and wrapping and wrapping. No more knots, just wrap, wrap, wrap. Trying to keep it tight. And we will continue until we get to about our desired length. Once we get to that desired length for this particular color, we are going to tie off 2 of those knots. Here I switch the direction of the 4, but that is okay. For this bracelet, it doesn't really matter. So I get 2 knots to really lock the sucker down in place, and now that little group of color is done. So we'll pick our next color. Here I pulled out one of the pinks. Again, pull it up so that it's kind of not tangled. We're going to throw 2 knots right here to anchor this sucker in place. Get those 2 knots down, and then we can start just wrapping it around. Wrap and wrap and wrap until again you get to about the desired length. It really doesn't matter. I mean, you can go as far as you want or as short as you want. Once you get it to about where you want it, throw in those 2 more locking knots. We'll anchor that sucker in place, and now the next little section of pink is done and locked in place. So now if we pull these down, we're going to have to be a little more selective about which string we choose next. On the left here you see these are the 2 that I just had used, and they are considerably shorter now than the rest. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep choosing from the longer strands for our continuing colors. If we didn't do this, one of these strings is going to get so short it's not going to be useful at the end to create the tying tail that we will be braiding. Okay, so get your next color up. You want it to be as tangle free as possible. Get that right up near the top. And we are going to continue alternating colors like this. First starting with the 2 knots to anchor it in place, a bunch of spins, and then 2 knots to anchor it. Again, we'll choose from a longer string for our next color, and we will just continue. Choosing the longest string, knots, spin. 2 knots to anchor it when it's long enough. Choosing our next color from the long strands. You can use as many colors as you want, really. I just use 2 to make this simple. So we're just going to keep continuing these patterns until it seems like it's about long enough to fit around our wrist, and then we will wrap it around our wrist and check it, see if we are long enough. If we're not, we'll just add a few more. The cool thing about this type of bracelet is that you can kind of stop and take a break at any time. As long as you have a couple of knots anchoring where you are, you can put it down and come back. Okay, we're looking pretty close, so let's wrap this around the wrist and give it a check. Pretty much want to see if where your finished piece meets that first knot. Now it looks like we're going to need a couple more. So let's throw another pink and another blue, and then we'll give it another check. If you're making this for somebody else, you're going to have to kind of guess the size of their wrist based on your own. Anchor this and take a look, and I think we're about done. Okay, so from tip to tip it looks pretty good there. What we're going to do now is we're going to separate this into 3 strands and just do a standard braided pattern. So you can really express your own artistic license in which colors you group together. Essentially, you just need 3. So let's just do a standard braid, and we're going to get this as long as we can. This will be one side of the tie down to attach it to your wrist. So if you haven't braided, somebody can show you pretty quickly how to do it. It's a pretty common technique, so I won't really explain it. Just braid that down to about the desired length, a couple of inches. I'm going to tie a knot in it. We want that knot to include some of the braid. It's going to help the pattern a little bit. It'll look a little more finished. So we get our loop through there. Hopefully not as difficult at times as I'm having, but get it through there and get the braid in the knot. There we go. So let's clip off the end strings, and that is one finished side. What we will do now is we are going to peel this tape off. Come on, you little sucker. Alright, get that off of there. Come on, baby. So that's our first original knot. I had mentioned not to tie too tightly. We do need to untie that, and this can be kind of difficult. A lot of times I will have either a needle or a toothpick handy that I can use to open that knot back up. So basically slip it underneath part of your knot. Get that in there, and then it's a little easier to undo that knot. So let's get that knot out of there. Alright, so let's tape this down, hold it in place, and same thing, we're going to divide this into 3 and braid it off and throw a knot in the end. For shorter strands like this one I'm braiding, pinching it right where the braid is meeting, it kind of helps hold them in place. So let's get a knot in this side. Pull it out as long as you can make it. Not too bad, and cut that off. Now we have the completed super quick, easy bracelet. This takes a little bit of practice, but if you're self-sufficient, you can get this tied on all by yourself. I usually use a square knot here. Essentially is one side goes over the top and under the loop, and then that one comes back and goes over the top and under the loop. And anchor that, pull it tight, and boom, you're done. Super quick, super easy friendship bracelet. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love to see some of these bracelets flying around the area. If you like what you saw, click like. Please leave me a comment below. I'd love to see some subscribers, and subscribers are being entered into a drawing for quite a few different prizes. I will have a video coming up soon explaining the prizes and how they will be awarded. Thanks again for watching, and if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.